All right. Welcome to our webinar, Meet the ACSL SOTEN, a new standard for NDAA-compliant payload-swappable drones. I am Danielle Gagne, Head of Marketing Communications for Volatus Aerospace, and the moderator for this call. Before we get started, just a reminder that we welcome your questions and we'll be having a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. You're welcome to submit your questions at any time during the webinar by clicking on the Q&A box at the bottom of the webinar screen and typing in your questions. If we are unable to answer your questions today, we'll be happy to connect with you after the program. This presentation will be recorded and made available to everyone via email within 24 hours. With that done, it is an honor to introduce Sean Falconer of Volatus Aerospace and the rest of the ACSL team.
Thanks a lot, Danielle. And thank you everyone for attending the webinar today. I'm just going to quickly speak about Volatus Aerospace and our role in the drone industry. We started our partnership with ACSL, I'd say 1 or 2 years ago. We were looking for a NDAA compliant small foldable drone that checked a lot of boxes that our clients were looking for, especially the NDAA compliant part. Um, I was uh, after seeing the SOTEN in person, I was pleasantly surprised and very impressed with the capabilities. And our team came together and spoke, and we decided that this was going to be the small folding drone that we wanted to bring into our arsenal, right? Our of NDAA compliant drones. So we're super happy with the partnership we have with ACSL. Just wanted to put that out there, a little bit of history about the relationship between two companies. But I'm going to speak a little bit about Volatus now. So Volatus is a global aerospace company, publicly traded on numerous exchanges around the world. We have offices in Canada, the US, Norway, England, a small presence down in South America in Peru. And really we're organized into three business segments that all operate under one umbrella. It's Volatus Drones, which handles the hardware sales, value added reseller type setup. Volatus Services, which includes everything as drone as service to cargo delivery. I'm at our Toronto office right now, and I've seen some of um, the cargo logistics stuff for the first time in person. It's pretty impressive. So that's all held under our Volatus Services division, and then Volatus Academy, which is the training arm of the company. So it kind of provides us this holistic approach to the drone world through hardware sales, the services that drones can provide, and then the training that's required to operate these drones. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I spoke about it a little bit in the last slide. Again, that holistic approach that we come to the market with. It's all bundled under the idea of aerial solutions, right? So what can drones do to benefit your operation, our customers' operations? So we're kind of the easy way to say it is that one-stop shop when it comes to all things drone. And again, that's one of the big reasons why we partnered with ACSL. We just really like what we see, and we love working with them. I think that's the last slide for me. So without further ado, I'm going to pass this over to Cynthia, who's going to speak more about the SOTEN. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. Hi, everyone. My name is Cynthia. I lead our operations and strategy here in the United States branch of ACSL. So going to give a quick company intro, give everyone a little bit of context and a little bit more information about ACSL. I'm going to go through ACSL's company intro and history, going to pass it over to another one on my team for the SOTEN product intro and then the SOTEN use cases, and we'll end everything with a Q&A. So as Danielle mentioned earlier, if you have any questions as we go through this deck, feel free to drop it into the Q&A and we will try to get to it at the very end. Great. Awesome. So ACSL, we like to say, is sometimes the largest drone company that no one's ever heard of before. And that's because for the last over a decade, ACSL has been pretty quietly, for the most part, doing R&D and making drones over in a quiet corner of Tokyo, Japan. This changed, of course, in the last year or two when we started looking at going global and expanding globally. ACSL is headquartered in Tokyo, Japan. It was established, almost 12 years now, back in November 2013, and is publicly listed on the Tokyo Stock Exchange. So it's a well-funded, well-managed company, lots of stability, and has been developing drones for quite a long time now. At the very heart of it, ACSL, which stands for Autonomous Control Systems Laboratory, is a flight controller software company. So that's definitely one of the values that ACSL is quite proud of, is that we have quite a robust flight control system. If you look at the at a glance column here, we are a very R&D heavy company. We have a lot of engineers. We have a lot of technical expertise on the team, which we find is very helpful for taking a lot of the feedback that we have been getting from the global market and being able to transfer that into new features and new updates, which we do try to do on a pretty frequent cadence throughout the year. Since we have entered the US market, one of our key focuses has very much been about aggregating a lot of feedback from the field and being able to take that feedback and use it to improve our products so that it can better service the men and women that use our products for their critical operations. Next slide, please. Yeah, so here's a little fun picture, which was when ACSL had its 10-year anniversary about a year and a half ago. So as you can see, or possibly see from this picture, we may be headquartered in Japan, but we are quite a diverse team. And we very much take pride in our work and really enjoy being together as a big, dysfunctional R&D family, kind of just figuring out solutions and making improvements, as much as we can. Next slide, please. Quick timeline here, just to highlight some of the key things about ACSL. So as I mentioned earlier, it was founded in 2013, listed on a Tokyo Stock Exchange in 2018. And throughout the years, we have looked at a couple different improvements to SOTEN, which started out as a project back in 2020, and then started evolving from there to become the platform that we know and love today. In 2023, we entered the US market officially, started doing some testing of the SOTEN drone with key customers, getting that feedback, doing some of the localization work to make sure that it was a good fit for the US market, taking that feedback back to our Japan R&D team, and making sure that a lot of the features and updates that we came out with was well aligned with what the US market actually needs out in the field. Part of those improvements include launching smart controllers as well as launching more payload options. We'll talk a little bit more about why we don't say payload, but say payload options. And that's because of the interchangeable gimbal system we have that we will go a little bit more in depth with later on. And then more recently, January of just earlier this year, we announced our strategic partnership to do all of our US distribution through Exertis, in order to provide our product through to our network of dealers, including, of course, Volatus. And then here's just a quick look at some of our presence around the world. Of course, as I mentioned, we're headquartered in Japan. We have our US headquarters over here in California, and then we also have a limited venture over in India as well. And then this is kind of a teaser page. The only product that we are currently bringing to the US right now is that iconic blue-colored drone, which is the first image you see over there, the SOTEN drone. But just to sort of give everyone a little bit of an overview of our capabilities as a drone manufacturer, we do have larger platforms that are productized and our production are coming off of the production line over on the Japan side. These are larger platforms that we are not bringing to the US at the moment, but stay tuned, that could change in the future. The middle there is sort of a workhorse size platform, and that's the PF2. And then we have a couple cargo-oriented drones as well. But for now, the SOTEN small drone is really what we find to be the best product market fit in the US and what we're focusing the bulk of our attention on. As a super quick background on SOTEN, as I mentioned earlier, this started out as a project that we received from the Japanese government. So there were quite some requirements, especially around the security and the supply chain for SOTEN. This has been, of course, driven by a lot of the geopolitics around the world, and the Japanese government was no different and really wanted to have a domestic solution that they could rely upon. So some of the key characteristics that drove our decision-making process when it came to developing the SOTEN had to do with the security of it, the longevity of the platform, and its ability to have continuous improvement over time. And then, of course, matters of safety and reliability. So from a security standpoint, there's a bunch of cool security features on here that we'll go into detail later on in this presentation, but as a quick overview, the data is able to be isolated and encrypted even before it gets written to the SD card if the customer so chooses. All of our drones are produced securely in Japan. Yamaha is actually our manufacturing partner. And of course, our supply chain is very much vetted and verified, and something that we stay on top of to maintain stability and transparency. As for the longevity of the platform, we try to ensure that this is something that we can expand upon and be able to continuously improve in the future. And again, that kind of ties into being able to update and improve the gimbals and the different payload options that we have over time, making it a super easy way for customers to be able to upgrade the drone platform itself. Of course, this ties into the usability of the drone, where you can have that ability to have one-touch swappable cameras, being able to have quick attach of propellers. And then in terms of the flight performance, I mentioned earlier that we're a flight control systems company. So that's something that we take a lot of pride in, is that we have very robust flight control algorithms that help power this drone, and that ensures a reliable and steady flight for our customers. All right, next slide. Awesome. I mentioned earlier as well that because of the wonderful feedback that we've received from a lot of our customers out in the field, we identified early on that there were a couple things that we wanted to make sure we keep improving on, that are key accessories that complement the workflow for using SOTEN out in the field. Two of those directions include smart controllers and payloads. So in terms of the latest that we've done, specifically for release in the US market, the first one is focused on a smart controller, where we ensured that this way customers wouldn't have to deal with an additional screen or charging more devices or anything. It's just a nice integrated smart controller with customizable buttons that they can use out in the field for any workflow that necessitates the use of a nice, bright, integrated screen. And then another key product release that we had just more recently is what we call the SAMO High Resolution Thermal Payload. And this has been pretty exciting for us to be able to bring this to market. It's a 640 radiometric payload, but it's integrated into the same interchangeable gimbal system. And that allows it to be swapped out very quickly out in the field. So if customers needed to be able to access different types of data, collect different types of data, they would be able to do so by simply switching out the gimbal very quickly. And we also have some other payloads, which we will share later on. All right, so now here we are at the SOTEN product overview. So I will pass it over to our Solutions Engineering Manager, Francisco, and he will go a little bit more in depth about some of the other features of SOTEN. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Cynthia. Hey everyone, my name is Francisco Toro. I'm the Solutions Engineering Manager here at ACSL. And today we're going to go over some of these SOTEN product overviews. So we'll kind of explain some of the details for the SOTEN. But yeah, so this is the NDAA-compliant solution that we have in the US. And it is capable of having different payloads. So with a single touch of a button, you can switch payloads. We have up to 25 minutes of flight time with the standard camera. The SOTEN can fly at 33 miles per hour at 6,500 feet. We have the operating temperature at 32 Fahrenheit to 104. And it's rated to fly up to 6,500 feet in density altitude. We also have a smart battery that's less than 100 watt hours. So if you need to travel in the plane, you can bring those in the carry-on section. And we have an operational limit altitude at 6,561 feet. And the max speed is at 33 miles per hour with no wind. This is some information regarding remote ID and the national geofence that's built into the SOTEN. So there's actually there's only a national geofence built into the drone so that you can fly anywhere within the US and its territories. You just cannot fly outside of the US or its territories. But yeah, so if you are approaching any of the borders, you'll get some messages to let you know that you're getting close to them. But it's gonna prevent the user from flying past that. But other than that, you can fly anywhere in the US. If you do plan to fly indoors, you just have to make sure you get GPS signal so that the drone knows it's in the US or territories, and then you can fly. But yeah, so this is it's remote ID compliant already, and the SOTEN, even though it's blue, it's not on the blue list. But it is NDAA compliant. Next slide, please. And then here is a slide about the physical dimensions and the ingress protection. So it's roughly 25 by 22 inches unfolded, and folded can go as low as 14 by 6.5 inches. And it is IP43 rated, which means you can fly it in some light rain. But yeah, you can see it can get quite small once it's folded without the propellers. Next slide, please. Here are some of the obstacle avoidance sensors, specifically the visual sensors. We also have infrared, but with this, you can get the sensors to detect at around 30 feet. And if it detects an obstacle, it'll stop before that. Next slide, please. We also have the transmission system. So this is something that we're calling the ACSL FIDES link. And with this, you can fly with one controller and have two additional controllers that will be in what we call observer mode. And in that mode, you will not be able to fly, but you can get the telemetry and video downlink. So one person can be pilots, and then the other two can be observing. You can also switch between all three controllers if you want to become an observer or a pilot. So let's say you have an observer maybe half a mile down the road. You can switch between the pilot and give it control to the next observer. Or if you lose signal, you can also hand off control. Cool. So this is the operating frequency. We are operating at 2.4 and 5.8 gigahertz band, and it's 2.4 is not Wi-Fi. Let's see. We have the communication is encrypted with AES 256, and we can fly at a maximum range of 2.5 miles. Next slide, please. So this is the standard payload that comes with pretty much every bundle. And this is a 1-inch 20 megapixel mechanical shutter 3-axis gimbal payload. We offer 10 times digital zoom with this payload, but this has a maximum resolution of 20 megapixels. You can also change that to 15 or 10. We also can capture at 3 different image formats, so JPEG, DNG, or JPEG and DNG. Video recording at up to 4K at 30 frames per second, and then the micro SD card is supported at greater than or equal to U3 or V30 and up to 512C. Next slide, please. And then this is the multispectral payload. This is very similar to the standard payload. It's a 1-inch 20 megapixel mechanical shutter 3-axis gimbal payload. This captures at 3 different wavelengths. So we have 550, 660, and 850. And each image will be at a 5 megapixel resolution for each wavelength. And then we have some information about micro SD card, which is similar. But with this, we have this is great for ag work if you need to inspect crop health, for example. or vegetation management. And this was going to be included in the SOTEN Ag multispectral bundle. Next slide, please. Here we have the third payload option. This is a 2.5 times optical zoom payload. This is a 1/2-inch 12 megapixel sensor. We offer 2.5 times optical zoom and 10 times digital zoom with this payload. And this will be more of a la carte item that can be added to your purchase. Next slide, please. This is the newest payload that we have to offer. We're calling it, it's called SAMO. This is a high-res radiometric thermal sensor. So this is using the 640 by 512 sensor, which is a FLIR hadron. It also offers an EL sensor, which is a 1/2-inch 64 megapixel sensor. And with this, you can actually capture at the full 64 megapixel sensor. We also offer 4K 1080p at 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second. And we can do up to 20 times digital zoom. This will be very helpful for use cases such as search and rescue, public safety overwatch, fire and thermal inspections. And this will be included in the thermal bundle. Next slide, please. And here we have some additional accessories. The upper camera mount that we have to offer here is going to be an option if you want to do any, for example, like under bridge inspections or pipelines inspections, things of that nature. This will be an add-on that you can add, and this will actually connect to the front of the front gimbal mount, so you cannot mount two gimbals. It's just the one. And then we also have an RTK module that'll be available soon. And this will be great to capture at higher accurate data for surveyors, for example, or disaster response and accident investigations, whatever requires much more accurate data. Next slide, please. This is the newest smart controller that we have to offer called the Tenso. This is one of the items that Cynthia mentioned that we brought to the US market. So with this, you're getting pretty much everything that you need to fly. You know, you have like your return to home button, dedicated buttons for video, shutter, things of that nature, as well as an integrated screen. So you don't have to bring an additional tablet or phone. It's all built in and it's really, really bright. It's around 1,000 nits. So that's great for outdoor use. And this will be included in the survey, inspection, thermal, and multi-spectral bundles. Next slide, please. Here we have the standard controller. This is included with all bundles. So you'll be able to, if you wanted to, you could do the pilot observer right out of at the start. The one thing with this one is that you do require an additional mobile device. So like you see here, but other than that, it has all of the same functionalities as the Tenso minus the screen. Next slide, please. So we have our own ground control software called Takeoff. This is available on our website. You can actually download it and start using it, but we have it available for Android and Windows. Next slide, please. So the Takeoff application, just with this on its own, can be its own webinar, but I'll just kind of mention some of the highlighted, the main features. So we have your flight view. You can go into the camera settings, set the return to launch. In the event that you lose signal, the drone will come back at a safe altitude. Obstacle avoidance, you can do compass calibration. You can adjust your stick sensitivity if you want to maneuver a little bit either faster or slower. You can download offline maps. You can do mission planning on our software, and you can also export and share missions basically from your PC to the Tenso or mobile device. Next slide, please. So this is the mission planning section of the Takeoff application. I'm just kind of showing this so that you're aware of, we could do survey planning from our Takeoff application. You could do survey, you could do corridor, you could do waypoints as well. You can create geofences, set emergency landing zones. It's quite capable. So all of that is available in Takeoff. Next slide, please. And then once you capture that data, You can put into your favorite mapping software, or if you want to create a model, for example, you can use Pix4D, Drone Deploy, Skyline. These are just the few that we've used. And we'll also have third-party mobile application support coming soon. Next slide, please. Okay, great. I'm going to pass it off to my colleague Tyler to go over the SOTEN use cases.
Thanks, Francisco. My name is Tyler Ackerman. I'm the manager of channel operations here at ACSL. So I get to work with all of our dealers, obviously including the team here at Volatus. So wanted to talk to you guys about some of the different use cases that we feel like SOTEN fits really well into, and a few kind of key industries to highlight. So first one being public safety. Obviously, as it was mentioned a couple times already, SOTEN is NDAA compliant, and we feel like it's a very cost-effective solution. As you know, there are more and more requirements to move away or move towards an NDAA compliant solution. We feel like we fit really well in that category. It's small, quickly deployable, and obviously now has the high resolution thermal capability with that new SOML payload that we mentioned. The swappable payloads, again, kind of increases efficiency by allowing you to use one airframe to have with multiple payloads, and kind of opens you up to some different use cases without having separate aircraft. So, you know, for example, if you had a search and rescue or just overwatch situation where you needed to use that thermal payload, you could bring that aircraft down, clip on the standard payload, and be able to use it for mapping or crime scene reconstruction, all using the same bird. So just an added level of efficiency there using that swappable payload system. And then just to highlight kind of a go-to product for each of these industries that I'm touching on. So we do have a SOTEN thermal bundle. It's really kind of specialized for this public safety use case. It's going to include that standard payload, and it's also going to include that new SOML thermal payload as well. So you've got two payload options, and then we're also going to include the Tenso Smart Controller. So that's the very popular option, having the HDMI out to be able to send to a command center or send that video to a live streaming service, what have you. And you'll actually have the standard controller as well, just as a backup, or to have a secondary operator. You've got that capability as well. Energy and utilities, again, I mentioned being NDAA compliant, in that fleet replacement type scenario where you're looking to move to a compliant solution, we're a really good option. Compact and lightweight design for maneuverability in complex environments. I think this is, especially important doing, inspections around critical infrastructure or, power pole inspections, things where you have obstacles in the way. The SOTEN is small enough that you can kind of operate in those tight areas. Portable and rapid deployable. Again, as Francisco mentioned, it folds up into a pretty small footprint. So if you need to throw it in a case and throw it in the back of your vehicle to get to the next site, it's very easy to do. We mentioned the multiple controller and handoff capabilities, but again, in that inspection use case, to be able to hand off pilot control to somebody who has a different point of view, or just from a safety standpoint, to be able to see around obstacles more clearly, that definitely comes in handy. And then the multiple payload options, again, as we mentioned, you can kind of do different types of inspections with one aircraft by simply swapping on a new payload. So that opens you up to some more options. Then the go-to product for this, our SOTEN inspection bundle. So that's going to include our standard payload, which is that 20 megapixel that we've gotten a lot of really good feedback from inspection use cases. And then it's also going to include that Tenso Smart Controller, as we mentioned, as well as all of your accessories to be able to continue flying continuously. Surveying and mapping. So as Francisco mentioned, our takeoff flight control application allows for a bunch of different autonomous mapping missions. So I encourage all of you to go to our website, take a look at that. You can download it now and kind of mess around with it and get used to the ACSL ecosystem a little bit. As we mentioned, there is a Windows version, so you can actually pre-plan those missions, in an office setting, and then be able to send them out to your controller in the field. Mentioned it's rapid deployable, just for some increased workflow efficiency. multiple payload options to do different types of missions, or if you're doing repeated missions or repeated flights over the same area, you can capture different data sets using those different payloads. And then compatible with Pix4D and others, we'll continue to add third-party applications that we work really well with. But in general, we work with Pix4D, which I know is a very, very popular option. The go-to product to highlight here, the SOTEN survey bundle, similar to the last one we mentioned in the inspection bundle. It's going to include that standard payload and the Tenso smart controller. And as we get our RTK solution here in the United States, we'll likely include that in this survey bundle as well. And then finally, agriculture. So specifically in the multispectral space, there's not a ton of options for a small foldable airframe that is NDAA compliant and has multispectral capability. So we feel like we fit into that use case really well. It is a 3-band multispectral. And then with our mission planning that we've talked about a little bit, again, if you're over a growing season, if you're going out and capturing multiple flights over an entire season, you can pre-plan and save those and manage those all in the Windows application, and then be able to execute those out in the field. Multiple payload options for using just general RGB imagery, maybe for a flight, and then later in the season using the multispectral imaging. Again, using that same flight control software, you can go out and execute the exact same flight that you have saved, just using those different payloads and only having to have one airframe. And then finally, I know in the last few years, spray drone operations have gotten very popular. So again, being able to kind of go out and pre-plan missions, set your boundaries, using a small foldable airframe, and then obviously be able to send those plans to the spray drone to carry out that sort of operation. So it fits really well into that use case. Our go-to product here, we do have a SOTEN agriculture bundle. So it is going to include the standard payload and the multispectral payload. So you've got 2 options there. And then again, also including that Tenso smart controller. And with that, I think we're going to open it up for some questions. So feel free to drop those in the Q&A if you have any questions. I see one here that we'll answer right away. Do you have a plan to have a payload that combines standard and thermal cameras? So just to answer that one quickly, and rest of the team, feel free to jump in. But our SAMO payload that we just came out with is a dual sensor. So on the thermal side, it's 640 by 512 radiometric. And then on the RGB or optical side, it's a 64 megapixel. So you can do split screen, you can switch back and forth between those views. But if you're looking for a payload that has both capabilities, that SAMO payload would be a good fit for you. Okay. I do see a question here about operations outside of the US. Is there any options for that?
Maybe Chris, would you be able to answer that one regarding, I guess at the moment with some.
Sure. Yeah, hello everybody. I'm Chris Robbie. I'm the CTO at ACSL. I've been with the company since 2017, so I've been around for quite a long time. Yeah, the kind of short answer to the question is no. The longer answer is we need to make sure that we comply with all of the regulatory requirements from each country. So things like wireless transmissions and even the battery and battery chargers and remote ID are all slightly different from country to country, and we need to make a decision strategically about which countries to invest in achieving the compliance with, and we just haven't done it with Canada or Mexico yet. It's really helpful for us to know if there's some major customers in either of those regions that would help us accelerate those efforts. We certainly have ambitions to expand outside of the US and North America and hopefully globally, but we do need to take a pragmatic approach about which directions we go. I also saw a question at the bottom about, can you share what types of motors, propulsion system you use with the T-motor ban this year? Well, our propulsion system is Japanese made. It comes from a company called Nidec. Nidec is most famous for making the motors in hard drives, but we found that they make very high quality motors. The propulsion system, the ESCs, are designed and manufactured by us and our consortium. So they're made in Japan and manufactured in Japan.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Also, just another question I see here, asking about the support and repairs on the US side of things. Francisco, you want to take that one?
Yeah. Hey, so the repairs we have a repair facility in Bend or Seattle.
Portland.
Sorry, Portland. I always
Portland, Oregon.
we visit those areas so much. I always get them all confused. But yeah, we have a repair facility over there that is currently repairing. So any if anyone has any problems with a SOTEN, if it's crashed or anything like of that nature, we can if you visit acsl.usa.com/repair, so you can actually start a repair application there. So just go to our website and if there's any problems there, you can begin a repair application. But yeah, that's live. We can currently do that.
Thanks, Francisco. And I did also see a question here about RTK. When is that coming? And some more details on that. Chris, do you want to take that one?
Sorry, just really quick. I just want to add one quick note about the repair center. So Francisco mentioned Portland, that's our West Coast repair center. We also have an East Coast repair center coming online soon. So, okay, now back to the RTK question.
I'm not seeing the RTK question here. Is it just a general question about RTK?
Yeah, just general question about RTK availability and kind of what's going to be the setup.
Yeah, so we have an RTK hat. It's kind of similar to what DJI has. It bolts onto the top of the drone and plugs into a USB-C port. It's working already in Japan. We found that the system, the way it works in Japan, the way that drones get correction data in Japan is a bit different from the way it works in the US. And also because the US is so much bigger, there's a lot more area that's not able to get a correction data through a network. In other words, the US customer seems to strongly prefer base station, which is not typically how we do it in Japan. So we're adapting that system for the US and hope to have something coming out to the market by the end of the year that'll work better in the US. That would be, sorry, just to elaborate on that a little bit. It would allow you to get correction data through the controller, either using a Wi-Fi hotspot or some other internet connection, or you could tether to a base station like an MLID station to get correction data from your base station.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Any other questions? Or Volatus team, anything you guys would like to add?
No, not at this time. I thank you all for the very informative webinar. And yeah, it's I think what I'm really excited for is that top-mounted camera. That looks awesome. To just have that ability to look up, which a lot of drones don't have, that's huge. So yeah, I just want to say thank you again.
And a lot of
Absolutely.
exciting new tech coming through for sure. I want to thank everyone here for joining us. Just a reminder that the presentation will be sent within 24 hours via email. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to us at hello@latticedrones.com and we'll get back to you. I hope everyone has a great day and thank you, ACSL, for joining us today.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks.